In this example, we are going to get the latitude, longitude of your current device, but you need to have certain updates in your plist because starting from iOS 8, remember we have iOS 9 now, but starting from iOS 8, Apple updated the permission settings. If you see in the settings, uh, there is a privacy section. If you see that there is a location services set to on, it has to be enabled on so that that's the only way your application could get the location. And not only to that, assuming your application access the location, if in this case one of an application accessing a location, there are two choices possible. One, the user explicitly never accept, or the user does not want to give a location update to specific application. He can restrict it, or okay, he can grant the permission only when the application is running. Of course, in this case also, he is preventing the application to access the location while it is in background. Only when the application opens, he is permitting to run it. Otherwise, see, in this case, I just set to never. So at this point, if my application try to access location, it won't be permitted to do so. He will be given a permission dialog stating that you would have to give a permission explicitly. Otherwise, it won't work. And this one as well. So this permission setup is pretty much restricted. Various additions were added in starting from iOS onwards. So we have to update couple of code before that, even though this code is pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to build one simple example. Okay, fine. We create use a view controller to display the data. Let me put a couple of labels. Do one thing. Just write okay, this one is latitude and value will display a little later. Okay, let it be 0.0 to start with. Give an equal distance between them. So let me see what's width. 268. This also I'll give 268. And longitude. Okay, these are all things we'll display in the screen. Time to add the constraints is going to be a little tricky. We're going to reserve the width and height from the left, top. Maybe this constraint, everything I'm setting it up. Width I'm not going to reserve it. Height. Width, height, okay, this has been done. By selecting this one, I am just trying to give a equal width for this particular component as well. I've selected both the views, so it is going to have a equal width between them, and apart from that it is going to have few more constraints. Height, and this one may not be needed. This same thing we have to do it here. Height, all done. Let's give a equal width. Then select this one. We're done with that. Let's see, both are displaying in the screen. I think it's pretty bigger. While it runs, we'll write the required location information. Okay, yeah, both the thing displaying. It has a delegate called, okay, remember by default the location related APIs are not imported, I mean added. This is pretty crucial in fact. So we have to add the location libraries to our project Xcode. To make that, you have to click on location example, your application name, go to build phases and click on the link binary. Here you can attach the additional libraries such as map, location. These things are not part of your initial requirement, because adding more libraries will unnecessarily overload your application unless if it is required. So in this case I'm going to use them. Your location libraries are available as core location framework. You have to choose this one and click add. Once you add, you will see that particular thing got added. You can keep it in a desired folders wherever you want. I think I'll keep it here without, I don't want to show it again. So once you add that, now you can attach your location specific core location, this particular library. So you have to attach an additional library which is part of your iOS. It is not by default added to your application or your Xcode project, because only if we need we can attach them, otherwise we just don't need to have it. So if your application requires a location specific events, you may go ahead and add that library. Let me add a CL location manager delegate. I hope, yeah, that's the right one. So this delegate or this particular protocol is going to give us, whenever a new location is received, it is going to help us to retrieve it. Apart from that, I'm going to need a couple of properties. More importantly, one of a property called CLLocationManager. Have this one added, and if you want, synthesize it. So your location manager synthesize, time to initialize. Location manager, I think CL location manager lock in it. Okay, it's been initialized. Tell the location manager the delegate has been added. Self. Couple of things also we may add it. Location manager set accuracy, some stuff. Let me find what exactly set. desired accuracy. It's a constant. These constants are listed under KCL location accuracy best. If you see that there are a couple of accuracy related. For example, your GPS, that is external hardware as far as your phone, having the GPS location setting accurate will consume a lot of battery. As you know that it has to make a communication to the nearest satellite. Satellites are going to be a couple of miles on the top of, we often call that, it just beyond to that particular limitation when you compare the network signal, like, your cell phone signal. Those towers are pretty closer. But whereas this accessing the location from GPS satellites, it has to penetrate hard wall, cloud, and all the stuff in order to get the value from it. So you can define various things. See, if you set the location accuracy 3 kilometers, mean it will every 3 kilometer when you make a move, it will try to retrieve the location. It will make it slightly consuming less battery. Or if you set the accuracy best, it will try to get the best location. But of course, you would end up, sacrificing certain battery. So you have to attach that to define it. And next subsequent point, if it is not iOS what do you call 8 and above, all we need to do, start updating location. The moment you call this line, your application will start searching for a GPS location, but it is pre iOS 8 because I haven't added any permission related code as of now, but at least these few lines of code is more than enough to sense the location of your device. How to get the location callbacks? So we need a what's that? CL one of a function which helps us to get the location. Yeah, did update location, the very first one. It gives us a kind of NS array. It gives us a LCL location object which is there inside NS array. So as soon as a new location arrived, we will end up getting them. Maybe to start with, I'll put a NS log. Okay, it is an array, right? First I need to retrieve the CL location. CL location is an object because it is those objects are going to be handed over in array format, so I need that CL location object alone. So I'm just going to make it as a location. Okay. In array, it will be having various information. You just need to know the last values. Because it's going to have a various location updates as that user makes a movement. You will be interested to locate the last object because the last known location, that is more than enough for us to get the update of the user. So let me display it in NS log, if at all. It's going to be in float or double. Okay, let me see what is that. Latitude is, and longitude is going to be location coordinate, get the latitude and location. The longitude. So you can get the location callbacks here. So to start with, we'll display it in NS log, then we will display in our application because we have already put. So as the location change happens, we will have this thing update. We'll put that a little later, but I would like to check my application whether it works or not. because I was telling there should be something has to be added to overcome the iOS 8 and above version, because our emulator is already having iOS 9. Already stopped. Okay, let me stop. There is one instance is running. It's killing me. Let me close the simulator. What exactly went wrong? Oh, it is something. It is running for me. 6s plus. I have to close the Xcode. Now I should be able to run this. For some reason it was just, I did not close the previous instance. Okay, I don't really see any changes, even though there are a couple of things it's been complaining. Okay, that are constraint related, but nothing to do with that. We'll fix that. I think a couple of constraints are more. I added unnecessary constraint, looks like. Top leading, this is equal with to left bottom top layout guide. Okay, I think that's enough. Something really terribly wrong. Okay, I'll come back to you. That doesn't matter for us at this point. So, few setups you need to do in order to make your location updates possible. First one, you need to go to info plist. You need to tell, see, plist is like a manifestation. I have already told you that your what kind of a capability your application is having. The iOS will decide based on the property list, whatever your application is containing, starting from name of your application as well. One thing you need to add in the plist is, this is pretty straight constant. I'll copy from my other source. Make sure you hit the plus button. Add one more entry to your property list, that is called NS location when in use usage description. Slightly complicated, but it's a constant. And you can put your message. Hey, this app needs your location. Any information you can. It will be displayed in a pop-up. Can attach this particular permission has to be added first, second, and you should handle the callbacks of the user permissions. For example, user may or may not approve your permission. So that one, if that one slightly, location manager responds to a selector. I mean, there is a selector, mean there will be a button in the alert. So the selector usually we define in this way. That selector is a built-in selector. So I'm going to require a permission request always authorization is not correct one, and I've already put requests when in user authorization. This is the permission we have added in the plist. So we are asking the user about a permission. Hey, my application is going to access the location only when this application is open. This application will not access permission when the application is closed. So this permission you need to handle. So if this is not there, this particular permission entry is there in your plist, you can raise that particular request wherein you authorization. If it is not, if it is mentioned in your plist, you can raise the dialog and you can go ahead and proceed, letting the user to select its own permission. So decide permission. So once I put that, now if you see that I am getting a alert dialog by default, allow your application to access. See, this is the message I typed in my plist. So you have to explicitly grant permission for allow. So once you add allow, in this case, you can very well test that by visiting the settings in privacy location services. You see that your application has been listed over here because the user has given the permission. So location while using. So when this permission has been granted, so first time when you grant it, that thing will be asked, otherwise it won't ask. So I'm going to rerun this example. It did not ask this time because you have already given the permission. But it doesn't update anything, not even in log. If you notice in this area where you see the log, just before that there is a similar location option, just looks like a slightly arrow kind of thing. Select it. Now I'm going to select any kind of, if you say the Mumbai, if you say that, it will keep sending the latitude mock location to your emulator. It's a Mumbai location. If you see that, this one started printing immediately. See that every second it is sending a location, 35, 36, the log is moving. It means like, the user is running quite faster. It keeps getting a location, but it's getting the same location, but as if we put the emulator as if it is receiving the location. If you see the latitude and longitude, so this will point to Mumbai. So you can change the location for your testing purpose. You can give a different location. You say that it is changing. Or you can also create your own GPX file format. You can download it. Just search for GPX file format. That also you can use it, because GPX file format typically used by trekkers or somebody who travels and takes their GPS devices with them. So they'll go to a various path. It will record various latitude and longitude. So that particular log file which will be available in internet, you can download it. That also you can have it for testing how the location being can be called. Okay, I'm going to put them into maybe I'll display them into a label. This label. Initialize them. Another one we need. So longitude label. We put them. We go back and synthesize if needed. Okay. And we are getting location, coordinates, latitude. Okay, we need to make it as a string. That should be easiest way. Okay, we don't have choice now. And a string with the format. So latitude and the longitude. Okay, display them in our application now. Just mark some location. Just given it. So if you see that the value as I change will also update. But the values are keep on printed because since the same value is coming, you don't see them changed. But if you run this example in the actual device, you should get the location changes happening. If possible, I'd like to run this in my device. There are certain things, there is no other alternate than using your actual device. For view controller related, you would not need your emulator result more than enough. But in an actual development scenario, using the device is actually recommended. Okay, I just connected my phone. First one, if I can stream them. I've been given a option to accept. You see that this is my actual location, current location. If I make a walk or maybe the change will happen. So this is how it takes the location from your coordinates. If you see that small arrow, I couldn't show it up. There is a small arrow on the top which tells your application is accessing the location. If you see that, there is a small arrow on the top saying that in this case, as long as it is visible, that long your application is working. Somehow you can come to know. But one point, yeah, it just shut down because the permission what you ask to the user, let access the location only when the application is open. It won't access the location continuously, only when the application is open, the location will access it. This is where, of course, you are seeing the small symbol. So it will access the location as long as you're using the phone, and it will be shutting down as soon as you complete the location sensing. So here probably I may go ahead and add a map here. So let me see, according to my phone, what's the privacy related settings I have. See that these are all the application has already got a permission to access location. Most of the application I have given the permission only while the application is opened. You see that in this one of our application which we just installed, it's also accessing this particular pink color denoting that it is still working or recently been used. Okay, this is a notification. In fact, thanks to Flipkart anyway. See this particular application, weather application has a privilege to access the location always. So you can also put a different location, but remember, don't give this permission to all the application. You will end up giving or sacrificing the battery quite a lot, because this will continuously hit the performance as well as the battery. Performance side are no problem, but maybe the battery will consume like anything. So you have to be very careful. Fine. So this is how the location related example works. In fact, we have a Google Map API also given. So if you see that the application available, and but by default Apple has provided a map application. This is the API being given along with your iOS, but this Apple Map probably we may not prefer to use it much, because even those APIs are slightly good, but their location related information are not much extendable. I mean, I'm not saying they are not having any accuracy related, but they are still good. But we prefer to use Google Map as much as possible instead of this one. So that probably tomorrow I'll rewrite this example to have the Google Map added along with the current location. And this is Google Map. It has a pretty clean, accurate, and a lot of information. Even it has a record of your CTS, cafeteria, and all this stuff. Whereas Apple Map does not know much location about it. So we prefer to have a Google Map instead of Apple Map. So we'll see a simple example on Google Map maybe tomorrow, how to add it in your application. Or maybe I'll give that in the case study as well. So that's one I want to see. This one slightly for a few seconds. You saw some blue, some sort of thing. If your application constantly accesses the location, you will end up getting this kind of blue shading, because I've been given the permission to access always, but if your application constantly accessing the location, you will have this blue bar always displaying in your application. This typically we use it for driving purpose, where we mark the location start and end and we'll close the application, but your application will still help you to route your the destination wherever possible. So in that way you can make use of location related application, location aware application. So this is the one I wanted to discuss. Next, a simple example that also I'll finish off. That hardly will take few seconds. I didn't get a chance to play around much with the images. I go back to the one of the example which we created last, maybe yesterday's session. Remember yesterday or day before yesterday? We created multi-section or multi-component picker view, and we also created multi-section table view controller or table view cell. So in this case, if you really want to put some sort of images, you would like to display some image components or maybe small thumbnails of your image, that also you can put it. The scenario it did not work, but it is pretty easy in fact to do that. If you really want to customize your property cell, which you already know how to do that, so you can add a label as you said, and you can also add an image, small image view. I'll make the cell slightly bigger to accommodate image. Put a small image icon. We have an image and label now. So image, of course, being a property cell, we have to give a tag, because in runtime we have to identify. First one is image. Let me go to attribute inspector, find the tag. So I'm going to give a tag for image 111 or maybe any number. For label, I'm going to give a tag number. And time to attach the auto layouting constraints. So make sure you finish that as well. Width and height is reserved for image. One second. Going up to here. Let me add a constraint for the image. Width and height I am reserving, and top to here I am reserving them. And label. Right. So, constraints added. So all you need to do a change. I also took an image, sample image. I dragged it over here. So keep an image so that we can display. And in your view controller, where we are mapping the values, this one, title for a. This is our view control. Sorry, I need a table view control here. This is where we are mapping the label, but now I have a label and image view, so this particular code cannot be used. Instead, I have to initialize UI label, name, food name, whatever. It should be typecasted because we don't know what kind of object it is in the cell. View with the tag. I remember giving the tag number 222 for UI label. Food name text. I think I should use this one. If you have images for various, if you updated the image in the array itself, you can call it. But in this example, I'm going to use the same image for all items. So it is called image view. Image view from the cell. View with the tag going to be 111. Image view require an image, so initialize the UI image. Image named. For example, just give the name of your image. In this case, I dragged an image called logo.png. Just give a .png. Make sure you have it put inside, otherwise it cannot find such an image having this name. So you got an image and attach view image, or you can use set image. Fine. So you got an image, tag, the label. Let's see how it looks like. See that we attach the image also to our list view. It could be a different image for all, because since I use a hard-coded single image for all the iteration, if you have the image name also attached to your object or NS dictionary, different one, get a different set of images. You could have put images, various or different images for your respective categories. See this, since it is grouped, see the header is becoming sticky as you move on it. And this is how the multi-section table view works, and it will be pretty extendable. You can also change the title, color, various stuff you can do around that according to your branding or whatever. So this is pretty simple to add an image for your table view controller. All the image can be accessed by having the image name alone with one of a function called image named. Make sure you drag it and call the image name. Don't put any typos or anything, you will end up messing it up. So Sure, just put it. So using images in runtime is pretty straightforward as far as in iOS. So all you need to have a image name. Don't keep a duplicate. Of course, it's duplicate images will make your indexing issue pretty difficult. So adding image to a list, a table view controller, pretty straightforward. Fine, but I'm going to give you a slightly different task in your case study. I want you to pick this image from internet. Me, you won't have a physical image in your phone. I mean, in this case, the hardcore image. I brought an image saved in my project itself. Instead, if I give you a URL for an image, that image should be loaded in runtime. That's the one I'm going to give it in your case study. So assume I have a web service. In the web service, I'm giving a various food item along with a small thumbnail icon also. The icon will be given as a URL. So if you call that URL, you'll get the image. So in runtime, you will download the image and display it here. So that you are going to do in your case study. I'll give that. In fact, it's some. I don't know. Maybe some of project will have this requirement. So not only we could receive the JSON or XML, we can also get images or multimedia content, and we can display in our data. View controllers. So that's it. So tomorrow we'll see how we can add a map or Google Map in our application so that we can start showing the user location directly on the map instead of just displaying the latitude or longitude. If possible, we will reverse geocode it so that we will call the web service also and have the location sensed. Fine.